Monseigneur, cher Albert, Patricia Espinosa, Executive Secretary of UNFCCC, Ministers, Excellencies, dear friends, and members of the World Alliance from, I have to read because Kazakhstan, Iran, Mexico, Sweden, Nepal, Singapore, Finland, Spain, Canada, France, Switzerland, of course, and some others who came at the last minute. I wish you a really great welcome here for this launch of the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions. I remember in November 2003, I initiated the Solar Impulse project. We made a ceremony to announce the goal of flying around the world in a solar airplane. And there was a lot of stress because I had no idea if we would succeed. Today, for me, it's even much more important because I know we will succeed. And the team is already so much bigger. We have so many solutions that we can start now to change the motto of the Solar Impulse adventure. We had exploration to change the world. Now we've gone around the world, and the new motto is solutions to change the world. These solutions, they belong to you. You are bringing them together, and it allows us to do this event tonight to launch the common action that we have. We are supported by the world's most innovative countries and institutions. And I'm so grateful, Patricia Espinosa, that you could make it here in your busy schedule. You're the host of the COP23, and you accepted to give the welcome speech, and I give you the floor.
Thank you, Bertrand. Thank you for that wonderful and very generous introduction. And as I was telling you just when I arrived, you say I'm very important. I think the people that are truly important here are all of you that make the transformation possible. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for having come to Bonn. Thank you for engaging in this climate change agenda. Dear friends, the development of clean technologies can indeed help nations collectively accomplish the goals of the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals. So I'd like to thank the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions for organizing these events, which help us move closer to those goals. Specifically, I would like to thank my friend, Bertrand Piccard, for not only starting this organization, but for being an advocate of building a greener, cleaner, and more prosperous future. His personal accomplishments, such as completing the first ever round-the-world solar flight, are incredible. But his drive to develop energy-efficient solutions which could affect the entire world is equally impressive. This organization, which was launched at COP22 in Marrakesh, is remarkable. It's the first to bring together clean technology stakeholders from around the world to find solutions for the world's most pressing environmental needs. That is exactly what we need to further enable investors, governments, citizens, and cities to harvest the clean technologies that already exist or are still under development. After all, no one continent, country, or business has a monopoly on transformational ideas and solutions. But all of us can benefit if we work together, sharing what works, what doesn't, and what we've learned. This is the way humanity has always met its greatest challenges. In this way, we can also capture enormous opportunities. I believe we stand at the edge of an incredible transformation, a transition from the information age to what I call the age of renewal. Those prepared to lead it will be the ones who will help define this century. Perhaps some are in this room. Not perhaps, actually, I'm sure some of them are in this room. But transformations don't happen in isolation. We need the clean technology sector to help get us there. UN Climate Change will continue its support of innovative groups such as yours. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I congratulate you for your forward-looking work. I congratulate you, Bertrand, for leading this initiative. It's not only fulfilling the promise of the Paris Agreement, but providing the foundation of our future societies. It's truly exciting to think about the incredible ideas that you all are helping to spark. So I look forward to seeing what you can all achieve. And this is, being here in this room, is what gives me the optimism that allows me every day to say to those who question, is it really possible, kind of saying, what are you doing? Do you think you are going to get the job done? My answer to that is, first of all, I believe it's a moral responsibility. But second, I believe, and I can see, we have so many allies, so many friends, so many people that are committed, and humanity has always risen to the challenge. So thank you for this initiative, and thank you all for being here and helping us deliver this incredible transformation.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you so much. I know, when you want. Patricia, you have always been by my side each time I was launching an initiative with the United Nations. Thank you for that. And another very dear friend who has been on my side from the beginning of the Solar Impulse adventure as patron was Prince Albert, who hosted us in the Mission Control Center in Monaco. He's a head of state who is advocating for protection of the environment during the time he's head of state, not after he left office. And this makes him very special to my heart. His Serene Highness Prince Albert of Monaco. C'est super qu'il soit venu. Je te remercie.
Thank you very much. Madame Patricia Espinosa, dear Bertrand, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, there are a lot of friends in this room, I'm delighted to be with you here this evening for the launch of this incredible new adventure, the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions. It gives me particular pleasure to support Bertrand Piccard for his new venture, 18 months after the completion of the incredible Solar Impulse project, which brought us together on so many occasions during the course of this magnificent voyage. This was often the case, of course, in the Principality of Monaco, as Bertrand just said, where Solar Impulse's Mission Control Center, soon, of course, very, very quickly dubbed the Monaco Center, to make it short, but in so many other parts of the world as well, up to the final and very emotional night of the landing of Solar Impulse in Abu Dhabi. And I can proudly say that I was privileged to be there. Now we come again together for a new phase, a new adventure. As it's always the case with you, my dear Bertrand, this is about taking action. And this may sound trite, but it is crucial to take action at this point, and you are doing it. At a time when our world is facing unprecedented threats caused by our development model, and above all, at a time when both the nature of the dangers and the possible solutions to address them it's somewhat hard to see the line between how to address them and how to envisage them. Taking action is indeed our only chance. This is the reason why people like you, Bertrand, who never lose appetite for action, are so valuable. Those who, having understood the why, immediately throw themselves into the how. And those who, having achieved the impossible, then seek to go further still. And those who persist in thinking that we can change things. This is what matters today, changing things as you did with André Borschberg, when you completed the round-the-world flight using only solar energy. The Solar Impulse project was not about a one-off innovation. It was really about opening the door to the future, as you said many times. And it was about making it possible for humankind to construct a different world, a different economic rationale for a different way of life. Solar Impulse was not simply a form of transportation. It was laying the first stone for a new development model. Today, you are offering an additional tool to help us bring this kind of innovation about by using the world's stakeholders in the clean technology sector, who are too often weakened through fragmentation, by sharing ideas on solutions. By promoting their work, you equip yourself and you equip them with the means of moving forward faster and in a more efficient manner. By working collectively, you make it possible for these ideas to change the world more effectively and at a different pace. I believe these principles to be essential. They link up with the principles that I, together with my foundation, have been trying to put into practice for over 10 years now. Because collective action is the only way for truly efficient and sustainable solutions to emerge. Solutions based on use and practicality, based on the needs of people's real lives and not an abstract set of ideas, as nice and attractive as they may seem. This is how we will build an economic logic based on carbon-free energies, a logic which not only benefits, of course, the environment, but which also is synonymous with development and progress, making it a true alternative. A logic which we need now more than ever in a very urgent way. This is why this initiative you are launching this evening is of paramount importance, I think, not only to me, but hopefully to everyone in this room and beyond those doors. And that's why I felt it so important to be with you here this evening to support the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions. Thank you for your support. Thank you for helping Bertrand and his team, and Michel, of course. I mustn't forget Bertrand's, he calls her also his better half, Michel, who is in the room, and their wonderful team. So my very best wishes of success for this World Alliance. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Monseigneur and Cher Albert, to encourage us to be with us. The idea of this World Alliance started when I was flying above the Pacific, then above the Atlantic in Solar Impulse. Can you imagine the situation? You look at the sun, you look at the 4 electrical motors that turn with huge propellers. There is no noise, no pollution, no fumes, no fuel. And you know that you can fly theoretically forever. The sun is giving the electricity for the engines. They also charge the batteries, so you fly at night until the next sunrise, and you continue, cycle after cycle. And at first, I was so astonished, I was thinking, I'm in the future. It's a story of science fiction. And then I realized that I was not at all in the future. I was in the present. I was in what the technologies of today allow us to do today. And it's the rest of the world that is in the past. The rest of the world is in the past with old devices, old systems, old technologies that are inefficient in mobility, in construction, in our way of living, in heating, cooling, and lighting systems, in industrial processes, in what I used to call the stupid grid compared to the smart grid that we want to promote. The world is losing half of the energy it consumes just in losses and inefficiency. So when we speak of climate change, we have to understand that it is less our way of living that is the problem than the old devices that we still use. We're so demanding to have the latest smartphone, and we're not able to have electric vehicles, well-insulated houses, LED heat pumps, and everything we need to be cleaner. Nevertheless, all these solutions exist. Not only the one that's allowed solar impulse to fly around the world with no fuel, but all the solutions we need in every field that already today can help us to divide by 2 our CO2 emissions and our consumption of energy. But where are these solutions? Well, these solutions are not on the market very often. They are hidden in startups, in universities, in labs, sometimes also in big corporations, as we will hear later on, but they are not making their way to the market. And why that? Because innovation usually is pushed by subsidies, by public money. It makes beautiful results in terms of patents, but where do they go? We don't know where they go. What we need is to pull innovation instead of only pushing it. To pull innovation by creating the absolute need to use what has been invented. And this is where the governments have such a huge responsibility and power to set the legal framework that is going to pull all the new technologies from the labs and from the corporations where they are to be used on the market. But as long as it is still allowed to pollute and to waste energy, these solutions will not be used. So we have to see that we are now at a turning point. In the past, these solutions were not profitable. So we could not go to the governments and say, you have to use them. They said, we just cannot afford it. But today, they are profitable. Today, the biggest market ever for humanity is to replace all the old inefficient systems by new, modern, and clean technologies in every field. It's a fantastic market. It's a market of billions, of trillions of dollars to gain, not to spend, to gain. If you would just replace all the light bulbs on Earth by LED lamps, it would be $120 billion of profit. So we see that if we want growth today, we have to stop the stagnation we have today. The stagnation of just trying to sell to people what they already have. If you want to boost growth, you have to give them something better. And what is better today is more efficient and cheaper to use and creating more profit. So finally, we can reconcile ecology and economy. Because we can create a clean growth that is much better than the dirty status quo that we have today. So even for climate change deniers, we have solutions that boost growth, create jobs, make profit. So you see that today it is not necessary to be only ecological as soon as we become logical. And these logical solutions, they are among members, startups, people we don't know yet, people who are in this room, who would like to unite their forces to be able to speak about energy with more power. This is what we need today. This is why we are here in this room. This is why we are launching the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions all together tonight. You see that it doesn't have just to do with environment. I focus a lot on corporations and political leaders. And this is why the first panel that I would like to suggest to you is made by political leaders and institutional leaders. The first one could not be here and is Maroš Šefčovič, the Vice President of the European Commission. I traveled a lot with him to promote the energy union in Europe.
Like millions around the world, I was deeply...
And here he is addressing his message.
Like millions around the world, I was deeply impressed by your historic achievement and your vision. The first solar-powered round-the-world flight. I know this does not end here. You are now sharing your pioneering spirit and emulating other innovators. You are bringing together other dreamers and doers, all of whom are working towards making our world more sustainable. You are helping them talk to each other rather than past each other. As European Commission Vice President in charge of the Energy Union, I was glad to welcome and endorse your initiative at the outset. Europe is committed to the clean energy transition, but this can only come about with people, cities, companies and governments who share this commitment and work together to make it happen. This can only take shape if we break silos and focus on tangible and efficient solutions for present and future generations. That is why I support your alliance. It creates an umbrella of solution providers and government representatives, startups, established companies, financiers, local authorities, national governments, and intergovernmental organizations. All of us who share the vision of a cleaner and more sustainable future. I'm glad that we could work so closely with you and your team up until now, and I'm sure the best of our cooperation is yet to come. The EU innovation ecosystem can contribute a great deal to this global endeavor. I therefore look forward to hearing about the 1,000 solutions, and I can guarantee full support of the European Commission in this important journey. Best of luck, and my warmest
I would like now to invite on stage the guests who are not in bed with the flu. Because we had Adnan Amin, executive director of the IRENA, who was supposed to come and he's in bed with the flu. Kristalina, Georgieva, CEO of the World Bank, is in bed with the flu. And I think for the next year, we have to make, again, the COP23 or COP24 in the warmest country and in spring and not in autumn. Salaheddin Mezouar is stuck in a traffic jam and will try to make it on time. If there were fast lanes for electric cars, he could go straight through the traffic jams, but it's not yet the case. So the survivors are called on stage. Dominique Ristori. Dominique Ristori, who is Director General for Energy in the European Commission. I would like to welcome on stage Laura Tock, who is Vice President of the World Bank. And Rafael Paciano Alaman, it's a special situation. He's Minister of the Environment in Mexico. We met last year to speak about what governments could do with more solutions coming from technology. And now he's here, and we are moving forward together with his advice. Please. I love to speak about environment with political leaders, with corporations, because I believe this is what can make the world move faster. So, Dominique, what do you need? Because this answer will be really important for all the people in this room. What do you need in terms of solutions to allow not only the European Commission, but the national governments to move faster? Because what is obvious today is that the pace at which national governments are implementing solutions is not enough to reach the goals set by the agreements of Paris. So what would you need from all these people here to help the governments to go faster, more ambitious legal frameworks?
Dear Bertrand, Monseigneur, Minister, Excellencies, first of all, Bertrand, we need some innovative entrepreneurs like you in situation to share the same vision we have. And our vision is this fight against climate change, the implementation of Paris Agreement should be seen not as a constraint, but as an economic opportunity. It is possible today to combine economic growth, investment, together with the reduction of emissions, the reduction of energy consumption, and let me say, energy has a crucial role to play in that context. My impression is the turning point was Paris Agreement. We have now a degree of sensibilization, not only at the level of government, not only at the level of institution, but also at the level of entrepreneurs and at the level of investors. I explain. In 2016, for the first time in history, a major part of energy global investment were invested in clean energy. 43%. Be it in renewables, in energy efficiency, covering all sectors, or in smart grid. And together with a significant decrease of investment on fossil fuels. This is the type of revolution we need. And we can be reassured if all these activities are not depending only on institution or government, but also coming from entrepreneurs, from all those in charge of economic activities, and let me say, your new World Alliance for Efficient Solution is the perfect model. Why? Because we have a leader. We make a big success of your fantastic adventure, because I remember when we met for the first time with Commissioner Cagnette in Abu Dhabi, it was in January 2014. We met you, we met André, you met your wife. And 2 years after, you have been in situation to realize a first round all around the world, first three, 40,000 kilometers, only, with nothing, but only a power coming from the sun. This was a real historic first. You take some risk, but you have been in a situation to demonstrate this was possible. And now, frankly, we have a fantastic potential using clean energy, and let me say, this is a real challenge, because as you know, more than 2/3 of emissions are resulting from the use and the production of energy. Accordingly, when we are speaking about energy transition, this is the street into the direction we should go. I mean, adapting the entire energy system in order, at the same time, to reduce emission, to reduce energy consumption, but to create also new product and new market. And if you are looking back, what are the lessons of the situation when we are considering in Europe, from 1990 to 2016, we had a GDP increasing 53%. 53%. And at the same time, we reduced emission 23%. Accordingly, the demonstration is clear. It is perfectly possible to decouple GDP and economic growth on one end, and on the other end, to boost economy and to create new product and new market. This is the way to proceed. And with your New World Alliance for Efficient Solution, I am convinced you will be in situation to act using the best materials, the best technologies, creating profitability for the whole society, for the economy, but also for the whole society, finishing with benefits for the planet, but also benefits for people. And this is the fantastic challenge we have.
Thank you very much, Dominique.
Please.
So for all the solution providers, you see why it's important to innovate. There is receptivity also at the highest levels. Now at the World Bank, Laura Tock, you are Vice President of the World Bank, and we know that the World Bank is sometimes giving the trends that are really important to follow. In your case, what are the type of solutions, what are the fields that you would be interested in backing?
Thanks, Bertrand. Let me start by thanking the World Alliance for bringing us all together, and I think you're really inspiring all of us with your trip and your ambitions here. So I think what we're seeing is, as my colleague Dominique just said, a huge demand for clean solution for both mitigation and adaptation. A lot of it coming out of the Paris Agreement and the NDCs that countries submitted. And just sort of to give some evidence for that, our sister institution, the IFC, put out a report last week that showed sort of the explosive appetite, projecting off-grid and energy storage demand to go up by 1,000% by 2025, or green buildings to go up by 750%, or renewable energy. You can't even estimate, because every time you turn around, it's growing faster and faster. And the evidence for that, you can see that countries are putting out green bonds, which shows their interest in borrowing and investing in this. And so the market is exploding. In the last 10 years, we've done some 135 green bonds for 10 billion. But the market between 2014 and 2015 doubled from 40 billion to 90 billion. And we expect it to be 120 billion this year. Fiji, the host of the COP, just put out the first green bond in an emerging market. The Seychelles is putting out a blue bond to help protect the ocean. The World Bank itself is lending for climate-related activities, or our lending just for that went from some 11 billion to 13 billion from last year to this year. So you see that there's a lot of demand. Well, what do they want? So you talk about renewables, a lot of it. You talk about sustainable mobility. You talk about climate smart agriculture. You talk about landscapes and forest restoration, water efficiency, all these different things. And as you said in your opening speech, the demand for new technology is insatiable. And so how we can bring all these different elements to them is really going to be key. And we're starting to find new ways that we can finance that.
Thank you very much. Rafael Alaman, you are Minister of the Environment of a country, Mexico. You have, of course, to find the right balance between all the interests of all the departments, all the parts of the country. But if we come with a portfolio of 1,000 solutions, how can you and your colleague ministers use them? In other words, how can we help you on the political level with what all these people are providing?
Thank you very much. First of all, let me tell you, Bertrand, that in Mexico, we're pretty aware of the effects of climate change. We suffer the effects every single day. We have hurricanes, we have floods, we have droughts. We are experts in resolving all the trouble made by the climate change effects. So we're pretty aware at the political level that we have to take actions. Actually, we already took actions. When we started this administration, we produced around 14% of our total energy from clear or clean sources. Right now, we are above 20. In the next 2 years, we will get to 30%. We have already an energy transition law that mandates that we have to produce 35% of our total energy by 2024. And we're in the right path of doing that. But as you were mentioning, now the problem that we're facing is that we all have to change the world, the way that we live. We have to actually take advantage of these technologies. We have to save energy. We have to be more efficient. What we think it's very valuable for Mexicans is if you can help us to create this consciousness among citizens, but among also from in the private sector. We are facing a lot of resistance from several industry sectors that they are not willing in investing in new technologies, in clean technologies. They still think that it's an additional cost, where all the evidence in the world actually points out that it makes sense from an economic point of view. So right now we have the politics, we have the policies, sorry, we have the institutions, the technology is available. We need to change the consciousness of the people.
Thank you very much. I remember when I met in your office in Mexico, I was astonished to see how ambitious you were for your country, and to hear a Minister of the Environment speaking about economical incentives made me really happy. And this is why I was so happy that you would make it here for this evening. Thank you very much. We will hear representatives of the startups a little bit later on. It's interesting to put on the same panel the people who need solutions and big corporations who provide solutions. So I would like Jean-Pierre Clamadieu, who is the CEO of Solvay, to join us on stage. Jean-Pierre, with Solvay, has provided a lot of solutions for Solar Impulse to be more energy efficient, lighter, more performant. What are the main solutions that you have in your pipeline as a big chemical company that can help the political world in their needs for innovation and new products?
Yes, Solvay is an advanced material and chemical company, and I'm making this distinction. I mean, you used to be a chemical company. We have transformed a company very significantly in the past few years to be advanced material and chemical. And yes, indeed, I mean, we work on a number of subjects, and Solar Impulse has been an incredible showcase for us to demonstrate how an advanced material company can contribute to a number of the solutions that are necessary to deal with the challenges we are discussing. And probably the most simple thing to answer your question is just to look at your famous airplane. I mean, from battery system, we don't produce battery, but we produce a number of key components in batteries, to structural parts, the composite material, which are used today on large commercial aircraft, but also on solar impulse, the protection that's necessary to make sure that the solar panel will be able to go through the atmospheric condition that you had to go through. And I can continue the list. I don't want to go into too much detail tonight. But again, I think the best way to show how Solvay can contribute to these challenges is just to look at your airplane. I think we were almost everywhere, not alone, by the way. We have a number of partners, and something we lack very much. You know that when I became the CEO of Solvay 5 years ago, I visited your team in Switzerland, and at the time, flying around the world without a drop of fuel was still a challenge. And I was very impressed with what I've seen, and a couple of things that are relevant to us. Clearly, the first one is the focus on energy efficiency. As you said it very well in another event yesterday, one of the key strategic decisions you've made when you started to design this project was to focus on energy efficiency. You know that the amount of energy that you could capture was limited, the amount of energy you could store was limited. So making sure that any drop or electron was used to the best of its possibility was great, and it's exactly what we are doing in a very different situation in our activities, trying to turn into a very efficient producer, and you did that very well. And the second point, a little bit different because it's more on the human side of it, was the fact that it was a strong teamwork. We can have the impression that in fact there is just one guy flying solar impulse, and it's true, you are the only one, or André, in the plane, in the cockpit, but you can fly only because you have a very, very strong team. The immediate teams, extended team, I tend to think we are part of the extended team, and this is something else that we've liked. And if I may, one of the reasons why I'm very pleased to be here tonight and participating in the launch of this World Alliance is because we at Solvay believe very strongly in open innovation. What does it mean? It means that we have thousands of researchers in our labs who are working on a number of programs, but we know that there's plenty of good ideas outside. And what we need is the ability to capture these good ideas. We are doing that already with universities, we are doing it with our customers, with our suppliers, and more innovation is not just one company project. It's something which goes across the supply chain, and we've been discussing here in Bonn how collaboration is important. But your ability to capture ideas coming from the startup world and allow us to identify the one which could have the most important impact, this is something which is very important for us. So this is a bit of a hole we have in our approach, and frankly speaking, you came with a very good idea at a very good point of time, and it's why I'm very proud to be here tonight supporting this project.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. There is one solution you have at Solvay which I love to present to policymakers. It's the silica in the tire of the cars. If you put little pieces of glass that Solvay calls silica in the gum of the tires, you save 7% of fuel consumption, which means that the European Commission, Mexico, Germany, Switzerland, France, and all the others can be at least 7% more ambitious in the emissions allowed for a car. And if they are, all the silica will come everywhere in every manufacturer of tires, and not only at Michelin. So we see how we can change policy by innovation.
If you just allow me one word on that. In fact, Dominique was in this room at 2 o'clock this afternoon, the CEO of Michelin, and he was talking about sustainable mobility. Yes, indeed, and it's something that we've developed in partnership with tire makers, but big issue with tire is that they tend to dissipate energy. So reducing rolling resistance has been a challenge. And with tire makers, we've been able to bring an innovative solutions. A couple of decades ago, it's almost, I shouldn't say a standard, but it's very widely used in Europe. By the way, thanks to some standards which have been put in place in Europe, it's still a solution which can contribute indeed to the reduction of energy consumption and CO2 emission in a lot of regions of the world, Asia, part of the Americas. So yes, indeed, we are very proud to be part of an adventure like this one, where we've been able to make breakthroughs with, obviously, the in partnership with tire makers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to be a supporter of Solvay solution.
I'm a supporter of all the solutions that can help to have more ambitious energy policies and environmental targets. And I hope that for all four of you, the rest of the evening will be interesting. We will start now to go more on the innovator side, the startups, and there will be a panel with startups. So I hope it will make good opportunities also for you. I thank you very, very much. And big bunch of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you, Laura. Dominique. D'accord. Jean-Pierre, super, merci. Before we move to the next point of the evening, I would like to ask Leopoldo and Zhang Zhang to come back on stage. Zhang Zhang played a special song that I love on her violin by satellite telephone when I was alone in the cockpit of Solar Impulse for the last leg, flying from Egypt to Abu Dhabi. You know, the leg of all emotions. Because you know that if you fail, you have 15 years that are destroyed. And if you succeed, you can go to the next step, which is this evening. And I had in my helmet the song The Window by Leonard Cohen, sung by Zhang Zhang on her violin, and I was crying like a kid in the cockpit. Please play it again. It's a moment I will remember all my life in the cockpit. And now, thank you, Zhang Zhang, to play it for the next step. And the next step is the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions. So I will explain you, or remind you for the one who know it, how we're going to work together. The Solar Impulse Foundation exists till existed already in 2004. It did the educational program, spread the message of Solar Impulse about clean technologies, innovation, protection of the environment. So we're basing the work on the Solar Impulse Foundation and its partners. We have partners, who you will see on the screen, who are funding all the work of the Solar Impulse Foundation. This allows the Solar Impulse Foundation to fund the Alliance and to fund all the services that we offer to the members of the Alliance. This is how you can come as members without any fee. This is how we can connect you to experts for free, and these experts will appraise the solutions you have in order to gain in credibility for you. We will connect you also for free with investors. It can be venture capitalists, it can be investment funds, it can be big corporations who want to make joint ventures, and this will allow you to grow. We have a connection with a wide network of institutions at European level, at world level. These institutions will also contribute to bring experts and to bring credibility to the work that we are doing. They will bring solutions. We will give them back solutions which allow us to go one step ahead. Once we have solutions that are credible, that are funded, we want to select the 1,000 best solutions as a first step. Why 1,000? Well, I have to explain you a little bit about that. We were with my team in Marrakesh last year. We were launching the idea of the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions. Patricia Espinosa was there. Ségolène Royal was there. Minister of Environment of Morocco, Hakima Laïté, was there, and I was speaking. There were a lot of people, there were a lot of media, and I was thinking, what I'm saying is really not sexy. We're creating a new association, and what are the media going to say? And I was thinking in my head, I have to find something that is a little bit more pushy than just an association. And then I thought, maybe I can announce that we're going to find solutions. And I was thinking, I was talking, and I was thinking at the same time, how many? And in how much time? 1,000, 2,000, 500 in 1 year, in 1 month, in 2 weeks, in 10 days, in 5 years. And then I thought in a few seconds, I think it's reasonable to say 1,000 solutions in 1 year. And they all applauded. And they thought, that's a really good challenge. And my team was looking at me saying, he's completely crazy. But we're okay with being a little bit crazy in challenges. And here we have this challenge of 1,000 solutions. This is to empower the members, bring the solutions of the members to the level of key decision makers in order to allow them to integrate the reality of what the technology offers today into the regulation, to pull innovation, as I said in the beginning. So there will be a new trip around the world in 2019. Once we have the 1,000 solutions by COP24, we will go around the world with representatives of institutions, of members, of selected media, to go meet governments, not only at the national level, because we saw how important it is to work also on local level, cities, region, and to empower the solutions of the members into regulation and legal framework. So this is the way we work, and this is the way that I believe we can support you. We are here to support members, support solutions. We are not competing against anybody. We also have professional associations who come, who also have their partners, people who bring technology. We believe that we can be much stronger if we make this portfolio of everything that exists today to show that it is possible. And you will see in the next panel why I'm optimistic. So I will now call on stage Mario Anderlein, Marion is the Managing Director of the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions. Welcome on stage. Marion and her team are in relation with members, with you, on a day-to-day basis. I think you know everybody in this room.
Not yet, everybody.
Almost. And you are going to invite several of them so they can demonstrate what they have as solutions for the world.
Absolutely. I think it's very important, what was mentioned earlier. One of the 3 goals of the Alliance is to federate. And I think that's why we're here today. It's to federate people. It's to bring them together. So the Alliance, and Patricia Espinosa said it earlier, it's share experiences. So that's one of the things. We need to exchange, we need to share, we need to build bridges between us, we need to create synergies, exchange about best practices, join forces. And so one of the things I would like to announce, most of you are already aware of this, but we have launched a new website, which is live and has been live since last Friday. So this was a bit of a busy week for everybody here. And so you can register, you can create your online profile, you can search for members. We have a search function which enables you to search for the profiles or investors or solution seekers. You can search by country. So as we don't think that a website is sufficient, I really think that we have to put some human contact and really try and link up people, connect them also in a human way. I'm very pleased to welcome the first members panel of the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions, which is composed of, I can see Sandra somewhere. So we have 2 solutions, Sandra and Igor. Please come on stage. We have 2 people representing the solution seekers, which are Alexis and Claire. And we have 1 investor, Christian, who can also join us. So please have a seat. I might sneak in the middle. Thank you very much. I'm just going to. Thank you very much. So it's a very great pleasure to have you here. I know most of you, not everybody perfectly well, but I think it would be an interesting discussion. So you think the expectations are very high because you're here to represent all of the people in the audience. Okay, so maybe we can start with you, Igor. In terms of so you're the solution providers. What is your biggest pride, or what has been your biggest pride in actually implementing your solution? And every time I'm asking a question, please take the opportunity to present yourself, to actually say what you're working on and what your objective is in the Alliance.
Thanks. It's a great honor to be here. So we are CGON. My name is Igor. We are CGON as Carbon Gone, and we are addressing a problem of air quality in large cities through efficiency. What we've done is we used a technology called hydrogen fuel enhancement that's been around for some 20 years, but used in large gas turbines. And we managed to miniaturize it so that we now have a device that I can install in any car, bus or lorry, diesel or petrol. It takes about 1 hour to install, and it gives, what it does, it reduces pollution by 80%, and it reduces fuel consumption by 20%. So we've just finished prototyping, and we launched 2 weeks ago. So I feel like a kid in a candy shop, heads of governments, large corporates, investors. Whoa. So, but this event is exactly what we need. This pull and exposure is exactly what people like us, 10 people startup, that's exactly what we need. So great, thank you very much.
No, I think it's very interesting, and I'm particularly glad to have you here because it sounds to me like a fairly easy implementable solution. So I think it's important to actually make them happen. You represent cities, Claire. How do you think cities could encourage such a solution? How do you think cities could act further to push this or pull it, as Bertrand says?
Yeah, well, I think cities are in general, so Energy Cities is a network of cities in energy transition, mostly in Europe, but all over the world too. And I think usually mayors are natural innovators. They want to have innovation in their city because they are confronted every day with a new problem that they have to solve on the day, on the spot. So this is something that is obviously in a way natural. But what we often miss actually, and where we need this pool, is actually to have a place where we can find the innovation and that we can trust that innovation. I would say that indeed there is three main aspects where we need to really do a little bit of more push and pull innovation. One is on the medium size, because often we do find it can be easier to find solutions for individuals. For example, I will take the storage issue. So now we have batteries, and we most probably soon will buy our home battery in IKEA. So this is on the individual levels, it's in a way easy. And then you have, on the storage issue, you can have very big scale storage solutions, such as putting half of Norway fjord, using the fjord and putting some water barrage so that you can actually store the energy that is produced in northern Germany. But in medium size, like the city size, there is a lot of solutions that are needed, and we don't have them. We don't have innovation at that size, that it will help us to have storage capacity for everything that is produced during the summer, for example, finding maybe in the geothermal capacity of the territory some solution that we can take to make sure that in the winter we have the heat or we have the electricity that we have produced during the week. So there is a number of this medium size is often a problem. Then the second innovation where we really have some needs is on links. And this, I think that we will have some examples afterwards, and I'm very happy already, because again, Uber, it's an easy thing. You have a driver and you have somebody who needs mobility. This is easy. The problem is when you have to link people that don't know they have resources, like waste resources. And this is where we need the innovation. You need to find where are there new resources and to tell the people who have resources, and actually we all have energy resources, just completely untapped. So I think
can I just give a jump over to Sandra, because I think you were trying to handle. I think you have such a solution, Sandra, and it's very adapted to city environments, but also smaller communities.
It is. So I'm Sandra Sasso. I'm the CEO of a company called SIAB Energy. There are two. Everybody asks us what it means: sustainable energy and biogas, or as we like to say in the company, shit-eating anaerobic bacteria. So if you think along those lines, that's where we're headed. So we can do both sewage and food waste. We can convert it, and what we've done is create an appliance that converts it on-site into usable energy and recovering the water and the fertilizer value in the process. So what does that change? It changes the way cities operate. It changes the infrastructure that's necessary. So take the waste movement. Waste moves farther than solar impulse. It goes around the globe for any city that has more than 1 million inhabitants, 3.5 times around the globe every day in distance, in a non-efficient vehicle, so a vehicle getting 3 miles, because I live in the UK, so 3 miles to the gallon. So very inefficient movement of something that is in fact a fuel. So why are we moving it? Because that's what we've always done. So if you change that and you work with city governments, so we get the word out that there are alternatives, then you can change the way a city operates. But it's very difficult for a company the size of ours. There are 25 of us in the company, and we're making inroads, but it needs legislation to change. So we need cross-border legislation to allow you to produce energy in a building from gas. So gas-producing equipment is not legislated to be allowed in a building. There is actually no governance around that. And then we need finance that goes cross-border. And really that's what we need to enable us to be more productive. And we can then change the infrastructure needs of cities around the world.
Christian, is that something you would invest in?
So It's very exciting. Actually, both Sandra's and Igor's projects are definitely interesting and very impactful. So what are we doing? We're Bamboo Capital Partners. It's an impact investor, or as we say, we make investments that matter. So we invest in companies that provide essential products and services to basically low-income people. And by this directly benefit or improve their quality of life. We do that in 3 different sectors. One is financial inclusion, which is basically microfinance, and increasingly fintech. The other one is healthcare, and that's more and more digital health. And the third one, and that's the reason why I'm here, is actually, and that's what I'm really working on, it's energy. And here we're focusing on off-grid energy. So let me give you a little bit of a background. Today, we still have about 1.2 billion people globally who have no access to any electricity. We have another probably 2 billion people who have very unreliable access to the grid, which basically means that almost half of the population of the world lives either in the dark or has very unreliable energy access. And the grid will never reach many of those people because it's too costly, it's too complicated to extend. So this is a huge problem, right? I mean, it's a development problem because we believe that energy or access to clean or modern energy is actually the basis for human development. But it's also an environmental problem. Because if these people, and at one point in time, they will need to have access to energy. If these people are actually following the path that we have chosen in the past, Europe, Northern America, China, and so on, we're going to have a collapse, an ecological collapse. It's not possible. So, big problem, actually, sometimes are big opportunities. And fortunately, today, technology has improved, and lots of technology developments which happened actually in the last couple of years, like solar PV prices going down, battery technology improving, actually all that what was developed for mobile or for mobility actually is having these incredible side effects for off-grid people in Africa and Asia. But it's also about data, digital business models, remote monitoring, and so on. So there are lots of technology development which just happened in the last, I would say, 2 to 5 years, which suddenly make possible that those people in Africa or in Asia who live off the grid will be able and are already leapfrogging from basically kerosene and candles to distributed solar. And that is truly exciting. It's a huge business opportunity, and that's where we invest in. So we're probably not right at in the scope, or your projects are not exactly in our scope, but of course these type of investments are what we believe are truly impactful, and we should have much more investors who are focusing on these opportunities.
I'm really glad you're here because one of the definitions of an efficient solution for the World Alliance is that they are profitable as well, and that's what you're saying. So a lot of these solutions actually make sense not only from an ecological point of view, but they're logical, as Bertrand always says. So it's I think it's very important. How from so Alexis, you're director of the Open Lab. So it's a group of mainly big corporations that try to work together on sustainable mobility. What do you think big corporations can put in place to actually accelerate all these solutions? You know, I think if you especially looking at Igor, because he's in the mobility sector, so he sits here next to me. He's got how many people? 15, you said? 10? I think, are you afraid of him a little bit? No?
Should not.
I think there's a great synergy.
Because some of the smaller companies that we have, they are a little bit afraid of you big guys. So what is your attitude? How do you think you can encourage them and not scare them away?
So our attitude is very humble, especially after the ambition that you set, the World Alliance, and we feel very humble. Bertrand, you said 1,000 companies. It came out of your mind during the speech last year. We started much smaller. So I work for the Open Lab. Actually, I'm an employee of Michelin Corporation, but I'm only one here tonight. And this, we founded together with partners who want to work on sustainable mobility. And Mr. Clamadio, the head of Solvay, is one of the founding members. So we have around 20 corporations, big companies in energy, transport, consultancy. I'm forgetting some of them, but many of them, all the sectors. And we want to look for the future of mobility and innovation as well. So how we could support those companies very much. And we just started before this meeting. We just met with Igor 2 hours ago, and we found already some solutions to go to market for his product.
Fantastic, great. Okay, thank you very much. Bravo.
Exactly what we need. This kind of events is exactly what we need. That pull factor from large corporates, city mayors, heads of state. So yeah, perfect. I'm repeating this.
What is your because obviously we had all these representatives of institutions earlier. What do you expect of them? You mentioned regulations earlier already, Sandra. Do you think it's really key for innovation to happen, to work on regulations, to encourage policymakers to be more ambitious, to actually enable the breakthrough technologies today?
Yeah, definitely, because for us as a small company to have to engage with the policymaker to create a regulation around our product makes it very difficult to bring product to market. So as an example, we've had to get involved with the fire department, both in the United States and in the UK, and educate them on what it would involve so that they could make a decision as to whether they could permit the units to go into a building. So I'm now becoming an educator to a fire department and having to know about fire regulations rather than really creating a product to convert waste on site into usable energy and water. So the breadth of knowledge within a small company that's required to bring a product to market is enormous. And the problem is it would be fine if we only had to do it once, but we have to do it in every market we go into, and in every market it's different. So we went into France and we said, no, we've been looked at by DECRA, who are a global organization, and they've said that we meet all the metrics, and they've said, no, the French metrics are different. So it's, again, it becomes a slowdown to access to market. And I think that applies to everybody, whether it's transport or other industry sectors. Every time we enter a market with a new product, it's a new set of regulations. And that's very difficult for a small company.
Do you think, Claire, that an association come Energy Cities can play a role in that, to actually say, okay, we try to do that work for these technologies, and once it's been adopted by one of our cities and members, we can actually...
No, I understood I come here because I have a need, not because you need me. That's not why I came. No, I think the thing is that mayors are also having a lot of constraints because they don't have often the right to experiment. And that's basically, in terms of regulation, we have the same need. We have the same need of changing the regulation because we need absolutely today to completely organize the energy market differently. And this is a huge, absolutely huge lobbying file actually for us, because it's too much mono-thematic and looking at the energy field by sector, when today all the solutions is about partnerships, is about linking the different things. So actually this is for us, I think we can really definitely be the place where the innovations are tested as far as we have the right to test. But we also need for that, to make sure that we can test, we also need to build trust. And this is where I think for us the World Alliance for Energy for Efficient Solution is really absolutely critical. Because otherwise you're like Charlie in the chocolate factory. You have thousands of chocolate plates before you find the right innovation. So we would like you to eat the chocolate and give us only the golden ticket.
Okay, that's okay. I'll take that challenge.
You're in Switzerland, right?
Absolutely. One last question to Christian. I know that you have because what you say is, I think it's maybe true that it's difficult for policymakers to keep up with technology. You mentioned that technology has developed and evolved enormously in the last couple of years. There's one solution that you work with specifically in Africa. Can you just tell us a little bit more about it?
Sure.
Very briefly.
There are plenty of companies actually we have invested in. There's one which is particularly interesting, also because they're tomorrow here at the COP23. That company is called Bbox. So what are they doing? Bbox is actually installing solar home systems on rural households in sub-Saharan Africa, off-grid households. And they connect those solar home systems through a GSM modem with a cloud-based monitoring system. And that sounds pretty simple, and it's actually the hardware, the technology is actually simple. But the challenge is in how to manage a distributed asset base and make sure that people are able to pay to actually not affront to pay the upfront investment, but pay as they go. So what they have developed is actually that customers and there are a couple of companies who are doing similar things. Customers are paying as they go through mobile money. And then the system gets unlocked for a certain period of time, and the fancy thing now is that they are able to service those systems remotely over the cloud, which brings down the cost of actually managing a distributed asset base in remote areas. And one of the great things is that they're collecting a lot of data, running artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms on that, to actually predict product failures, for example, to be very to have a preemptive service model, which is important, and then also fix a couple of things through, for example, remotely changing the charge algorithm and adjust it to this individual actually usage of that household, and like really a couple of fancy things which is basically possible since a couple of years, 2-3 years, and becomes more and more economically viable. And that is a huge new market opportunity for lots of companies. And we see companies starting which have started mainly in East Africa, but now spreading across all Africa and Asia, installing thousands of households per day with distributed solar. And that's a really exciting opportunity for an investor, because what we want to achieve is actually a triple bottom line return. We believe, and I think we can prove it today, that you can make a good financial return and have a great social and environmental return at the same time. And these are the business model we are looking for.
Yeah, I think I hope that we had a meeting with Solar Alliance earlier, and a woman who was particularly interested in that. And it's fantastic if you think that maybe soon there will be better service model in Africa than actually for Swiss solar panels, you know. So I think this is there's so many opportunities in that area.
The advantage somehow is that there's not an incumbent technology. They can immediately leapfrog, and that is something which is more difficult for our for our existing solutions. But I believe that a lot of the innovation will actually come back to Europe and be disruptive here too.
Let's hope so. Well, based on what you just mentioned, do you want to take 1 minute, Alexis, and tell us what you discussed with Igor?
Is it okay? No. So your solution is looking for access to markets. And one of the companies of the Open Lab has a large distribution network in automotive and could be a pilot for accessing the markets. So all of a sudden, you might, if this company agrees for the test, you have access to 2,500 point of sales overnight in Europe. So that could be an accelerator.
And this was just a half an hour ago. So I love this work. So
Alexander, we strongly believe in innovation in ecosystem. It has been mentioned before in terms of open innovation. Alone, we can't do anything. You've said that very much better than I did. And here, only those 5 of us, startups, cities, finance, corporations, we can already do many things.
Absolutely. And we already have a few more examples of people that already met through the World Alliance. So I thank you very much. I hope you will all be there at the cocktail afterwards. So thank you. But before we start again, I'll let you benefit a little bit more from Zhang Zhang and her music. Thank you very much, Zhang Zhang. So I would like to welcome three other members on stage. They were amongst the first ones to join the World Alliance at the beginning of this year. So, and they have already started talking to each other. So they're also the first ones to actually be able to tell us about the federation aspect of the alliance and how synergies can create something new, and how 1 + 1 = 3, which again is one of Bertrand's big convictions. So first of all, Eric Scotto, the CEO and founder of Accu Energy. He's kind of the centerpiece of this corporation. Then we have Maxime Thérian somewhere. There we go. He is the business development manager of Mascara Renewable Waters, and then Antoine Meffre, who is the CEO and founder of Ecotech Ceram. There we go. So I allow you to sit down, but only if you're very brief, okay? Eric, je te laisse commencer. Please.
So I'm going to be very, very brief because we are late. It's always like that. But
absolutely not.
Okay. So I'm representing Accu Energy. So since 14 years, we are developing, we are financing, building and operating renewable energy plants across the world. We're still an independent company, which is rare in this field today. And we are based in 40 countries. And I'd like to talk about the reason why I'm joining the Alliance is renewable energy is a decentralized energy. So we are producing in the middle of the territories. It's fully decentralized. So when you are producing renewable energy that way, you got a responsibility which is not only to carry and to bring energy. You have to understand the ecosystem because you're going to be living within the people for the next 50 years. And companies, they should remember that we should have a long-term perspective today. You know, most of the company, they forget that. You know, they look at quarterly figures. We look at the next 50 years. So we developed many solutions. So I'm just going to mention one that we developed in an island. There is a scarcity of space on island. So when we arrive in the Réunion Island, we realize that we refuse to compete on the land between renewable energy and food. So the idea was to share the space between those two activities and to combine food security and energy security. So we simply created anti-cyclonic greenhouses using the roof to produce renewable energy and leave 100% of the land to the farmers to develop organic food. That was a simple solution we developed there. 10 years ago, the farmers, they were dropping stones because they were refusing this new model. After 10 years, we are installing that type of system across the world from the Pacific Island, Indonesia, South America. And we decided at some point to export this model to Africa, because Africa is like islands. There is some places there is no energy. So we imagined the system bringing the energy in the middle of territories like that. But there was one missing point, one missing piece in the puzzle, which was water. And that's why we met the people from Mascara, sitting close to me, because they were offering a solution, which is to produce desalinization thanks to solar. And we decided together to combine our forces in order to bring two solutions to a specific territory.
Fantastic, thank you. Maxime?
So Mascara is the world's first solar desalination technology, and it is producing renewable and affordable water for off-grid territories. It is the only way to get affordable water in remote territories such as islands. And when we were offered the opportunity to meet with Accio Energy through the alliance, it was an incredible opportunity for us, because we were at the stage where we had 2 demonstration units implemented throughout the world, and we were at the stage where we needed access to market. This was that stage where we had demonstrated the efficiency of our solution, both technically and economically. It was efficient. It is providing fresh water cheaper than any desalination solution that is providing water using fossil fuel technologies. So it was incredible that when we met with Eric and Accio Energy teams, it was an instant match. It was just a few hours of discussions on our experience developing the renewable energy sector for the founders of Mascara, making renewable energy now the cheapest energy source in the world, and our approach to business, our ethical approach, and our vision for this territorial development of providing electricity, agriculture facilities, and water at the same time. It was a very good match. And so from that meeting, we are now developing a project, which was exactly what we needed for our development and what Accio needed for their territorial comprehensive approach, 360 view of agriculture, energy, and water. So now we are developing a few different projects. I'm just going to mention like one in Djibouti that is going to be taking off soon, and on Réunion Islands as well is something that we are developing currently.
Great, so it's really the example of 1 + 1 = 3, right? Antoine, your story, because you also got in touch with Eric through the World Alliance.
Yes, it's a profitable and sustainable story. So 1 + 1 = 3. So it started in 2014 when we create Ecotech Serum to design one of the most profitable and sustainable thermal energy storage solution. So it's a medium-size solution for city, for example. And this solution is a container with the insulation from inside and full of ceramic, which can be heated up to 1000 degrees C to store thermal energy. And this container is named EcoStock, can be plugged on the industrial side to improve the energy efficiency, or it can be plugged on renewable side production to improve the value of the electricity. And few months ago, 6 around, I was in my car going to the office, and I was listening the radio, and I heard Bertrand talking about the World Alliance and looking for 1,000 solutions. So as soon as I arrived to the office, I decided to write to the Alliance, Solar Impulse, to explain and to present the solution. And very quickly, the team understands the potential. So, okay, let's go, send us some information. And okay, 2 weeks after, I was still in my car, listening to the radio, and Bertrand was talking about Accio distributing our solution. So I was a little bit surprised, but as you know, Bertrand has the vision. We are here, and so I call Eric. You know about? Okay, come to Paris. We have to discuss. 1 month after 2 years, we try to make a fundraising, and 1 month after Bertrand said, Accio decide to invest, and now we are developing, and we are developing with InnoEnergy, with ADEME, with Europe. So it's nice to see all the partners on the side, and everything go fast since Bertrand Piccard.
Thank you.
Help us.
Perfect.
It's just. I see that there's only 1 minute left, so I'm going to be fast. So there is something which is absolutely obvious: is we don't have we don't have yet, 1,000 solutions. We have almost 500, but they are already working together. Why? Because this is so simple. This is the first time we are going to be able to push people, startup, and giving them all the possibilities. And the most important one, most of the time, is financing. Because those guys, when they start, they cannot afford to buy a tie. Like you see that. So we need to help them to get some financing. No, I'm joking, because I've been in the same situation 14 years ago when I started the company in France. I was a little bit optimistic. I had an idea. I wanted to build a wind farm, 2003, 2004. So I said, okay, that's a good idea. There is a PPA. You can sell your energy, no risk. So I went to see the bank. Thought they were nice, and they offered me a coffee, And I never found any money from the banks, never found any money from equity. So I went to Canada, and I convinced those crazy guys to lend me some money, came back to France, and we built the largest wind farm ever, But I was crazy how much effort we did put to impose a simple idea. So with the World Alliance, it's over. We're going to make it happen. And now, because the time is flying, no more talk, action.
Thank you very much, Eric. Perfect. Merci beaucoup. Well, I have to explain to you that, in fact, what Antoine just mentioned, it was a mistake. I'm not sure if you remember, Bertrand, when you were doing this interview.
I remember that I made a mistake between two members. I wanted to say another name, and I said Ecotech Ceram. And that's finally how they came together. So you see, you can have a World Alliance, but sometimes you have members who have a lucky star, and they shortcut something in an interview, and the success story happens. So let's try to make as many success stories as we can with the World Alliance. And in order also for you to know each other a little bit more, we will invert the normal process. Instead of you asking questions to the stage will ask some questions. There are a couple of microphones here. We try to go fast. I would like to ask to the members who would like to answer, what is the solution you want to provide, and what is the biggest obstacle for this solution to come on the market?
Anybody who would like to answer? Just raise your hands.
Hello, my name is Armand Martin, and I'm a co-founder of PowerBlocks. We have attacked the challenge of solar off-grid systems because today's solutions, they are very difficult to design, to operate, and if energy demands increase, it's very difficult actually to scale. Our solution provides a scalable model, which means that you can just put together boxes like playing Lego and then grow indefinitely in order to produce more energy. One of our biggest challenges is that we really lack the network. So we need partners everywhere. As it was shown before, it was a great experience to see how these members actually go together, and we need also more visibility on a global scale. And I think that the World Alliance is a perfect organization to help us with that challenge.
You put the pressure on us. That's good.
Come
Just in front of you, there is a hand up.
Hi, my name is Marilyn. I'm from Region Villages, and we build tech-integrated real estate. So basically, villages itself are self-provided, so self-reliant. They produce their own food, water, energy, and mitigate their own waste. And our biggest challenge is really that we encounter investors and organizations that really think at one aspect of the whole business, where we are trying to really comprehend it. So I'm happy here today that we're really building bridges between not just technologies on itself in a straight line, but very horizontal, because what we need to really combat our climate change are more comprehended solutions. Thank you.
All these hands up, that's wonderful. So, a few words by each one.
Yeah, my name is Heike Zareström. I come from Bonn Zone of Energy. We build a distributed solution that converts complex waste streams into power, heat, or cooling. Cooling is something that is often forgotten in today. And the demand for cooling will increase exponentially. In the process, we destroy the waste, turn it into a glassy slag material that is completely harmless. This can be used as an infrastructure filling material. To execute this, we operate very much in a collaborative way, which makes the alliance particularly appealing to us. We work with big companies like Siemens and Thermax to get scale and quality and execution. But the alliance seems like it's perfect fit for us because we want to build system solutions that work for people. We talk about in my backyard solutions, complete system solutions that work inside communities that anyone wants to have inside the community and deliver energy and take care of waste. I'm happy to hear that there's a lot of other waste companies around here. I think we will complement each other and figure out really good solutions. So looking very much forward. And money, yeah. Money is the issue.
Okay, on this side.
Hello, I'm Rafael de Mestre. I'm the one who went around the world together with Bertrand Bicard, but an electric car. I tried to meet him, but it failed because of weather conditions. And hello, and I'm helping a company from Spain to connect the whole nations with the infrastructure for electric cars. And the biggest issue is the political situation, like we already had, the legal things we have to we have to meet. And the other thing is the different standards of the different nations. And I have to say, I have to thank you very much to make it possible to connect the nations, because the biggest problem from us, from our people who want to move the world, is that we are stuck in our nations, and the sponsors and all investors are always only looking at how to, also the political people and the management structures are structured that a manager of a nation has to meet his Excel table for the nation and not looking globally. So even with Michelin or other people I was always talking with people which are always looking only in the borders. And borders for me are only, I'm Catalan and I'm... the people are doing wrong direction. So I'm wanting to have a borderless world, and to have a border is always only limiting us. So thank you for the World Alliance globally looking us as human beings for one planet we all have to all have to care about, and we also thinking looking for investors helping us to push the development for connecting the whole world, the whole grid of the whole world when I went around the world 2012 the first time, I have to say we have one standard, it's electricity. We don't need really make things more complex. 2016, the world around the world was more difficult because of all people wanted to make a standard for themselves.
It's interesting, you're already mentioning what the next question was going to be, which was focusing on obstacles. So I'm not sure if there's anybody around here that would like to answer that question. There's one over there. What kind of obstacles you're facing in your activity?
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Janik. I represent Green Rail, one of the proud founding members of the Alliance. What we do is we produce railway sleepers that we reuse recycled plastic and rubber in their production. The main obstacle, I would say, that is the fact that the railway infrastructure sector is quite particular. It can be described as closed. It definitely lacks innovation. So this obstacle, I think this is what we can do together with the Alliance, establish some new collaborations, valuable ones, in order to change this, in order to change the mindsets and encourage more innovation, more sustainability in the railways. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
So we see that with obstacles, we have regulation, we have standards, we have money. And this really encourages us to move into that direction with the World Alliance, to have members who are innovators and seekers who are looking for innovation, but also the investors who can come as members, and we have investors here. And we have the link with a huge network of institutions and governments. So we really hope that we can help you to go through these obstacles and allow you to grow as much as you can, because the most you grow, the better will be the world and the cleaner will be the world. And it's such a beautiful adventure that we are starting together. So now we have to move to the administrative part. I hope you will notice that normally when there is a founding assembly, there are 2 hours minus 5 minutes of paperwork, administration, regulation, and things like that, and 5 minutes for interesting talks. Here we wanted to do the opposite and have only 5 minutes for the administrative part. So the administrative part is the Constituent Assembly of the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions. And as I officially declare it open.
Thank you very much, Bertrand. So according to the statutes that have been distributed to all the members that registered before this General Assembly, the initial presidency for 5 years will be taken on by the Solar Impulse Foundation. So Bertrand, as the chairman of the Solar Impulse Foundation, will also be the president of the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions.
And I suggest that the managing director of the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions will serve as the official secretary of this Constituent Assembly, if you accept.
Absolutely.
We will do, like usually with us, the reverse way. We're not going to count who is in favor of the statutes. You have received the statutes, you have read them, you have asked questions. If there is one really important question right now, it's the last moment to ask for an answer. Do you have a last question about the statutes and the alliance? If not, I will ask you with your voting cards, one by member, wait before you raise it up, who is against the statutes? Who makes an opposition? No opposition. Who makes an abstention? No abstention. Who is in favor of the statutes and the founding of the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions?
Perfect.
Unanimity. We exist. Thank you for trusting us, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to move together. That's great. So Zhang is going to play a piece while we are signing the statutes, because this is the mandatory part, that the secretary and the chairman sign the statutes. I would like to ask Salaheddin Mezouar, the president of COP22, to join us. Salaheddin was supposed to be on the panel, on the VIP panel. He was with the president of Congo, with a driver that had no idea about driving in Germany. So he arrived a little late. So, because, you know, I explained before that the idea of the World Alliance was launched at COP22 in your country, in Morocco. So now you will be the witness of the signature of the statutes of the Alliance.
Quel honneur.
Thank you, Zhang. Thank you, Leopoldo. Marion, you have to be next to me for this. And I would like to disrupt a little bit the established order. So instead of you being sitting like this, I would like you all to come closer. Stand up, come closer, because what we're going to do is for all of us. So really, come closer. And I will ask Prince Albert to join us on stage. And during this time, I would like the team of Solar Impulse Foundation to come on stage, because nothing from what is going to happen will be done only by 2 people. We have a fantastic team who has worked in the last 2 years to make this happen. So the Solar Impulse Foundation team, please, on stage. And you can fill up the rows here, because you are too far away. Fill up the rows here. You can stand up between the chairs or get rid of the chairs. Come as close as you can from behind, because this is the moment where we're starting working. Until now, we were preparing, we were celebrating. Now we start to work. We have to launch the challenge of the 1,000 solutions. We have to work to have, for COP24 in Poland, 1,000 efficient and profitable solutions to protect the environment. So who can best launch this countdown than Prince Albert? Because for every of my takeoff, for the round-the-world flight, for all of the takeoff of André, because we shared the cockpit, we had the voice of Prince Albert in our headsets before putting full throttle. He was giving the clearance to start. So I would like you, Albert, to give us all the clearance to start the official countdown to select the 1,000 solutions.
Okay.
Bertrand, well, thank you for entrusting me with this important role, and it's been really a pleasure to bear witness to the launch of this extraordinary project, and I'm privileged to do so. So, Bertrand, as I've said during the Solar Impulse flights, I give you the clearance to proceed with the launch of the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions. Thank you very much.
Watch the film. C'est le film qui donne la clearance.
Bertrand, you are released to proceed and have a fantastic flight.
Okay, I'm proceeding, releasing the brake, and full power. We have 384 days, 22 hours, 59 minutes and 49 seconds to succeed all together. Let's do it! The final countdown has started. Zhang and Leopoldo, thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we'd all like
And remember one thing. Always remember one thing. History is not behind us when we look back. History is what we do when we look forward and we write it together. And this is what we have to keep in mind, because we can improve the world with all the solutions you have, and this will make history. So history is in front.
Bravo.
Merci infiniment à toi.